Raila Odinga is the enigma of Kenyan politics. The politics of this country has revolved around Raila Odinga for a very long time. And those who understand Raila Odinga will tell you that the man thrives under crisis. Raila Odinga is currently facing serious political crisis in this country. Raila Odinga is being pushed to the corner. And Kenyans are currently asking just one question. What are some of his options should President Uhuru Kenyatta decide to betray him? Let's face it, President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga entered into Handshake in March 2018. That handshake served the political interest of the president and Raila Odinga. And because politics is about interest, the question is that handshake still serving the interest of Raila Odinga? Is it serving the interest of the president? The answer to that question lies on the events of this past week. In that past week, we witnessed Junet Mohammed coming out very strongly. We witnessed James Orengo coming out very strongly. We witnessed Otienda Molo coming out very strongly to condemn the deep state. According to Raila Odinga's supporters, they strongly believe that Raila Odinga has actually done everything possible to become the president of the Republic of Kenya. In 2007, they believe Raila Odinga won the presidency, but Raila Odinga was not declared the president. Again, they have issues and questions about 2013 and 2017 general election. So when Raila Odinga and the president had that handshake, most Raila Odinga supporters believed that now they had the system. In fact, Raila Odinga's own brother, Uhuru Odinga, assured them that this time round, work on a system. But from all the happenings, from all the indications in this country, President Uhuru Kenyatta might be having a different idea on the person he wants to succeed him. And let me be on record and give credit to where it is due. President Uhuru Kenyatta has been very consistent that the handshake was not about 2022. In fact, at one point, the president even claimed that he doesn't even know how ODM operates. Raila Odinga has also stated severally that the handshake was not about 2022. But the only problem is the supporters of Raila Odinga. They believe that the handshake was about making Raila Odinga the president of the Republic of Kenya in 2022. And even if not making it, Raila the president, they believe that because of the fallout between the president and his deputy William Ruto, the president was then now going to support Raila Odinga. From all indications, unless something happens, President Uhuru Kenyatta is keen on Gideon Moi. President Uhuru Kenyatta is keen on Musalia Mudavadi. And I want to assume that the president is hoping that as he goes home to retire, Raila Odinga is also going to go home to retire. But from what I can tell you is that Raila Odinga is likely to still be on the ballot. But what are some of his options? Before I do that, I've always maintained on this platform and elsewhere that the handshake served the political interest of Raila Odinga so well. And I always believe that if this handshake did not happen, probably Raila Odinga's politics would have ended a long time ago. Number one, I always believe that the handshake created for Raila Odinga what is perceived to be power, that Raila Odinga had powers. Assuming Raila Odinga didn't have the powers, several governors, people like Kingi, people like Obado, several other governors, even Ojamong here, would have defected long time ago to join William Samoei Ruto. That perception of power, that Raila Odinga now had power, managed to tame some of those guys around Raila Odinga. Number two, that power also brought peace to Raila Odinga. Assuming we didn't have power, assuming we didn't have the handshake, it would have meant that Raila Odinga was going to lead demonstrations across the country. Just this past week, Raila Odinga is currently admitted in the hospital because he traversed the country for 10 days. If this handshake was not there, I'm sure Raila Odinga would have been subjected to a lot of street protest, and I don't know at his age whether he would have managed. The other thing is that this handshake allowed Raila Odinga and his friends to do business with government. And therefore, if as we go to the next general election, rest assured that Raila Odinga and his friends will be able to raise enough funds for the campaigns. And then it also came with the privileges. Raila Odinga security, his offices being taken care of by the government. If Raila Odinga is going somewhere, you'll find that the provincial administration taking charge of his events, things like those. But the handshake also brought with it some negative impact on Raila Odinga. One of them on my list is the reform credential of Raila Odinga. So today, Kenyans are questioning the reform credentials of Raila Odinga. So that people like Kipchumba Murkomen, people like William Ruto can actually question the reform credentials of Raila Odinga. They can now purport to be the defenders of human rights in this country. Number two, Raila Odinga is also currently carrying the burden of Jubilee failures. But what are some of the options left for Raila Odinga? That's the elephant in the room. In my considered opinion, Raila Odinga's options are currently very limited. The first option which Raila Odinga has is actually to endorse someone else. He can say, the president is not going to endorse me, or it's not going to support me, or it's not going to support my guy. So the thing I'm going to do, I'm going to endorse someone else for the presidency in 2022. And who do you think the Right Honorable can endorse? He can do what he did to Kibaki. To Moi, sorry. What he did to Moi. After the merger with the LDP, then he contested under KANU. Moi endorsed to Uhuru Kenyatta. Then what Raila did, he joined and Kibaki Tosha. He can do that to President Uhuru Kenyatta. That's the honest truth. He can then decide that the president is shortchanging him and the president is shortchanging William Ruto. Then he can decide, okay, I'm going home, but I want to give this thing to William Ruto as a punishment. So that's the first option. And that option is not good for him. But that's the first option he has. The second option for Raila Odinga is actually to pursue that power himself. Raila Odinga can then decide, let me now just decide and contest for the presidency. In the hope that his support base is intact, in the hope that Raila Odinga is going to get sympathy, in the hope that the president is going to support someone else, Ruto is going to run, all several other candidates are going to run, so that at the end of the day, we are not going to have a clear winner in the first round, so that he will either become number one or number two. Then after that now, Raila Odinga can then decide to team up with even former NASA coalition partners or with whoever. But the fact of the matter is that he can decide to pursue that power through ODM. Number three, Raila Odinga can also decide to retire. But this one, I know it's not going to happen. His supporters are not going to accept that to happen. Raila Odinga supporters believe that Raila Odinga has tried and is the best for the presidency. So they're not going to allow him. What about his allies, people who hang around him? There are people in this country who benefit when Raila Odinga is running, whether Raila Odinga is going to lose or win. So they'll benefit. They want to be the governors, so they'll force Raila Odinga to run. Then they win their seats. Raila Odinga probably lose. They don't care. They want to be members of parliament, so they run. Raila Odinga also contest. Then they win their seats. They are comfortable. So this group of people will also not allow Raila Odinga to retire. And then the other option will be for Raila Odinga to go ahead and retire, but decides to strengthen ODM party by sponsoring a candidate, either Hassan Joho, either Oparanya, as the presidential candidate, then he's going to throw his weight behind that ticket. So if Oparanya is the presidential candidate, then Joho, or if Joho is the presidential candidate, then Oparanya, all these guys can decide just to pursue ODM politics. Not even the presidency, but focus more on winning seats. Because when they win seats, ODM as a political party will still have life beyond 2022. But if you ask me, Raila Odinga's options ahead of 2022 general election, should President Uhuru Kenyatta decide to betray him, are very limited. I don't know what you think. Let me hear your thoughts on this. What do you think are some of the options which Raila Odinga can still use should the president betray him? But let me tell you one thing, based on my own assessment. Uhuru Kenyatta has no option than to stick with Raila Odinga. If Uhuru cannot stick with Raila Odinga, then we will have to do one thing. The president will go to Sugoi, kneel before William Ruto, and ask for forgiveness. Then he can endorse William Samoei Ruto as part of their Jubilee agreement. Because if you want to do that, the truth of the matter is that a combination of Ruto and Raila is something which the president and his handlers will not want to see. They would rather just let Ruto be, let Raila stick with Raila lose, but they won't allow that to happen. Raila and Ruto coming together. So his option will only be one, either stick with Raila Odinga or betray Raila Odinga and then go back to William Ruto. That's the only way he can avoid Raila and Ruto coming together. Let me hear your thoughts.